believe that God is the one that institutes the whole waiting journey. But if you don't align, you can actually cause yourself to wait. Too much empathy myself. Now, there's that part of almost cutting out the process. You can get everything twisted, and eventually we are now like because of the waiting. Because left to God, God is like, I've given you the son already. Like you can have this child. So let's imagine at the time when so let me bring it back to Abraham again, because I think I love he plays a major role around this waiting, faith and all that. Like he's even the father of faith, right?
Yeah.
God wanted him to become the father of nations. When God eventually gave him Isaac, remember that God even said he should go and offer Isaac. Now, on that journey to become the father of nations, I'm sure Abraham couldn't have known that in just obeying that instruction, like to take Isaac and sacrifice him, even if he eventually did not get to kill him, he was getting closer to that promise being fulfilled.
Yeah.
So it's like if Abraham had said no, it might still become father of nation, but it might have taken him longer time. He would have made more mistakes, and that's what happens to some people. So the longer you delay the process, the more some unnecessary things in quotes begin to happen. So you get into a relationship that are not treating you right, and all that goes down. A lot can happen. Ladies
are not treating you right sometimes too.
I get it. Alright. So yeah, so then I strongly believe that we can actually also be responsible for our weight. But I think the whole idea is that God is the one that institutes weight and it's part of the process. Now coming to the part of, is it even necessary to wait? Like, is just God showing you pepper or just being wicked? Sometimes when you're in that place where you're waiting, it can be really frustrating, right? Like you can really get to the point where you're like, I think I'm done. And I mean, if you have not been there, me have been there. I was like, God, I think they're just using it to play. Like I play with my emotions. You make me happy this second. The next minute, I'm already worried about the same. Like because God was actively sending me words, and I'm not even kidding. I had journals where I was always writing about my marriage, and I'm just like, wow, I can now see why those words came at the time they were coming. And so looking at it, God was talking a lot, but I was not seeing him doing anything. But I didn't know that why God was sending those words was because he was preparing the ground, more like preparing me for that journey. So the question is, why does God make us wait? For me, I would say one of the major reasons why I feel God makes us wait is because God wants us to become mature. So I can even bring it, I'm not even saying from the spiritual angle alone, even physically, like coming down to our day-to-day. The longer you wait for something, the more likely you are able to, how do I say this now? When I say God makes us become more mature when we wait, it's like God is forming character in us. If I got married 5 years ago, or the 8 years when I started desiring it, I'm sure that it's not like I will not be happy in my home or my marriage, but I'm sure that there have been so many things I had not learned. There will be so many, like, it would have really been tough, and I might probably have been frustrated the man God was bringing married, because at that time I know the level I was in, both in my knowledge, my understanding of how God works. I didn't even, that's how I was really, really deep in my work with God at the time. I was still trying to like understand a lot of things. So I mean, because I've had to wait, over time I've become mature. Like I've gotten to know things. I understand. I can hear God for myself. Some of those things happen in the process, right? So I feel, first of all, that maturity is just something that comes out if you actually wait the right way. If you allow God, like if you allow the process, you definitely become mature. Things like pride, envy, over time they'll be shedding off, because you can be proud today. I think I've had 3-4 embarrassing experiences. You will now know that I have to calm down on this matter. And you can be envious today, tomorrow. I don't realize that whenever you're getting married around you, you're not going to keep getting envious, getting angry. You get to the point where you have to deal with envy. So there's that maturity part. What do you think, again, is the reason why God makes us wait?
Yeah, I share your sentiments, right? But I'm going to still, before I come to that, I'll go back to that analogy of the waiter.
Okay, yeah,
right again. Yeah, that's where I am, right? So I feel like why people need to wait, going by that analogy. Imagine a guest walks into the restaurant and then the waiter is there, and the next thing you didn't ask the person what they want, and then you want to bring champagne, and then after that one you bring salad. The next one you bring fish.
You know that I can afford. You
know whether I like it, whether I have allergies, and then you bring something that is, I'm allergic to this thing, and you serve it on the table. The first thing, the person gets irritated.
Yeah.
First of all, like, what are you doing here? You don't even understand. No matter how beautiful that place is, no matter how well dressed you are, no matter how fine or beautiful you yourself, the waiter, no matter how beautiful you are, right? You have brought something to the table that the person does not even want in the first place, right? So I think waiting, one of the things waiting will do, or what it does to us, is that it makes us understand the art of the person you are waiting on. Makes you really understand what they really wanted, what they really, what they crave. And when your goal as a waiter at the end of the day is just make sure you satisfy the craving of this person. Now that alignment, the person will now tell you, this is what I want. You will go back, you will interact with a few people, person at the back end. This person has said they wanted this, and that is what you do. Let's bring that to marriage. God has told you, this is what I want you, this is what you need to become before you get married. Begin to interact with people. Not that after you have said that, you go and lock yourself up or you isolate yourself. You still have to go and interact with people at the back end, in the kitchen. Yeah. Like God has said is, I just want to stay and be pleasing God. You have to go and interact with people at the back end, the people in the kitchen. You serving the cocktail, see, he wants this is the mix he wants. And then by the time everything is ready, you still be the one to now say, okay, I'm bringing it. So those are the things that happens during waiting season. You need to understand what the person wants. So you don't just you cannot please God the way you think that's the way to serve God. You cannot, you cannot go and serve God what you think He deserves. You can't say the terms, right? So that is one of the things that happen during the waiting season, and that's one of the reasons why we wait. Process and alignment, and then going by your own, let me go in your direction a bit. So yes, while you are waiting, so you see that a number of things are like, oh, God, that is when God actually reveals you to you. Imagine
you might find that you're not as awesome as you thought.
Awesome. You begin to see like, okay, really, so I'm not that great. I used to think I'm patient. Or you say,
you know that you're not patient.
A lot of guys sometimes we want to say because of the way I've been raised, I'm a perfect gentleman and all of those things. More by the time you get to God start revealing yourself to you, that there are a lot of things here, corners here and there, that loopholes here and there. So waiting does that to you, and then let me bring it back to my own my own case right now. So and to be a bit practical for me while waiting, during the waiting process, it revealed to me a number of things like that. God took that time for me. It was a time when I had to let go of many things. For instance, I am a very independent person, right? And then to highly independent mind, I call to the point I had to create an acronym. I said I am IM, highly independent mind. So don't laugh, please. Don't worry. I'm not there again. Don't worry.
Independent Baba.
Independent Baba. I will just rather stay by myself and get stuff done. But God was like, oh God, you cannot go like this into marriage. That's not what marriage is. It's like it takes two people,
complementing
each other. But imagine me coming with that mindset, like, no, I just have a mind of my own. This is the way I want to do my thing. I don't depend on anybody. I don't depend on nobody except God. This independent mindedness even affected me to the point of I will just acknowledge God and there's God, but I am independent in that sense, which is not supposed to be. So it was during the waiting process that I began to see that this thing, I can't take this into the marriage, guys. Right? So I was leaving that that WhatsApp group gradually until they finally sent me out, and I deleted the group eventually. So that's one part of it. Another part of it, while waiting for me, was the point that it was during the waiting season I was able to become more vulnerable, right? So imagine somebody who is highly independent. Forget vulnerability is far from them. They can never be vulnerable. Like, no, I don't like see finish. I don't like. And you cannot bring this into my. God was saying to me, you can't bring this into your marriage. So it just arranged circumstances for me to, like, I had no choice than for me to be vulnerable. So I started learning vulnerability and how to make people, understand me, and I can share myself, and then, you share to heal, it was that time of waiting I was able to understand that there's a place where you have to, share before you can heal, right? And one other thing, finally, practical. A number of things, guys, a number of things. But this one, I just felt like, oh, more, if I had not dealt with it before getting into marriage, you should have heard from us by now. In that sense, So I'm that person, like, still talking about being independent. I like my things, your things, your things, so that you'll be responsible for your things while I'm responsible for my things. But in marriage, it's not like that. I don't know why I kept
You were very finicky.
I was so finicky about. You drop it there, it must be there, and if it's not there, there will be a problem. There will be a problem. So when we now started, when we got into the marriage, I now realized that I was now imagining myself if I had not left that place.
Kind of what I'm gonna give you. I'm not that. When it comes, I'm detailed, right? But when it comes to that, when you keep something here, not necessarily. And I try move it. I might even forget where I put it. So we'll just be fighting every second.
That would have been a area of problem. So I believe that waiting, while you are waiting, God is trying to help you, making sure that by the time you now start the journey, you don't have too many problems to deal with.
Refining process.
Yeah, refining process for you, and then to make life easier for your partner as well. Imagine I've not been worked on, I've not been trimmed. I'm still being worked on anyways, so I'm not trying to say I'm a perfect person.
Yeah.
That doesn't even exist, right? But because God has been able to do all those things I mentioned and much more, it is making the journey easier for me, and then making life, it's making it easy for her to live with me. Do you understand? So that's what I think about, why you have to wait.
So good, man. I like when you talked about vulnerability, but I feel like the society of today, they have made the man believe that he's not supposed to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost as though they associate vulnerability with just women, ladies. And I'm like, seriously, a lot of men are hurting, unhappy, but they mask everything behind, I must be the man. I am the man.
And once you are vulnerable, you are weak. That's what they. That
is so untrue, because I can imagine marrying a man that is not vulnerable. I mean, it would break my heart, because there will be times, because these things actually they flow out, right? Like there are vibrations, there are vibes that can be picked. So he's not happy. He's not in a good place. Maybe he's dealing with something and whatever. He's not talking about it. And because they want to be vulnerable, they forming, I'm strong, I'm fine, men don't cry. Meanwhile, all your actions in the house, all your activities, everything you are doing is actually making you feel like there is something wrong here. And I should not be like, babe, what is it? I'm like, no, I'm fine, I got this. I'm like, what do you got? Don't tell me. I mean, women definitely desire to have partners that are vulnerable, because it's not that it makes the person smaller, but I don't think it helps to bond you guys more. When somebody becomes vulnerable, like they're showing you, not like they're not just going naked physically, they're showing you their heart, they're showing you everything inside. Like, what else is left? Once you accept them, and in that moment, you almost feel like you guys are deeply connected. I don't even know how to explain it. But the point is, if Tayo had come into the marriage as a guy that was not vulnerable, I think many times I would have gotten the vibes that he's not fine, and I'll probably not even know what the issue is. And sometimes like that, the men have bottled this thing up. It gets to a point where when they have to finally get to explode, it's like atomic bomb. Like they are just, like, what did I just say? What did I just do that is making me react? Meanwhile, he has been keeping. He was not vulnerable to say, oh, today was really bad, I lost the deal, or I didn't get the contract, or I got this kind of feedback from my clients and it's making me feel sad. But he just try to be maxing behind me, man. I mean, don't cry. So really true. I like that point. I'm just going to lay on that one. And then the part of being finicky with things, thank God you guys hate him. I mean, if he was that kind of person, I think we would have been having small fights here and there, because I'm not that finicky. I mean, I'm just free like that. So for me, another thing I was also going to add is the part of stability. I feel like when I was waiting on God, it built stability over time in me. I became stable in certain aspects. Emotional stability. A lot of times, people don't put so much premium on how stable you are emotionally before you get into marriage. Because I think marriage comes with a lot. Like, I don't understand like people that say, it's not a bed of roses and all that. But the point is, you need to be emotionally agile. Like you need to be able to let me not call it collect, like receive feedback from your partner. Because it's someone that sees you in a way that nobody else sees you. You need a level of agility to be able to deal with that kind of feedback. You need also to become that person that you are not happy today. People that have mood swings, I don't really know how they cope in marriage, because it's like 1 second you are fine, the next minute you are over, and the person is even wondering, why am I just laughing now? So I think over time God was building stability in me emotionally. I used to be someone that felt like I could not control my emotions. I'm angry, I can't do anything about it. I'm happy. I mean, but I had to learn over time that when it comes to maturing, you need to be able to be in control of your emotions. And that happened because I had to wait. And then even there's that part of financial stability. If I'm married and I wanted to marry, almost if already though. But I mean, over time I've grown my career, I got more stable, I got good jobs and all that. And I got to a point where when I was not even getting married, I knew that yes, God had brought me into stability. Like you cannot even say 100% that I got this, but you can feel like, to an extent I can.
Than what you
yeah. So there was that part of God building stability where I had to wait. So I get into a restaurant, I'm very hungry. Like I'm really, really hungry. I'm famished. And I just like order. You know that the longer it takes for them to get the food ready, get the food across to me, will determine how much, how do I say, like you'll be salivating, be waiting. When the food finally comes, I'm like, like there's that I can't really call it awe, but there's that excitement, there's that
finally
something I'm looking forward to kind of thing. Even from if I walk into a restaurant and probably I'm not even hungry, I just want to eat. They bring the food.
And especially when you know it's a good food, it's something that is high in demand.
Yeah.
You know, it is highly contested for. And you just get it on a platter of gold. You might not really appreciate it as though.
Yeah, but when you have gone through process, like people that have waited before they got a good job, there's a level of
it's not just a job, it's a good job.
There's excitement, there's that value that you pay. So I'm sure if I had gotten married just immediately the period when I started waiting on God, it's not like I will not value my husband or I will not like be excited about it. But I think it hits differently when you feel like this. When I haven't met him, I told him something, and now sometimes I was going to tell my spouse that, you know how long you made me wait? Like, you know how long I've been waiting for you? Like, what have you been doing this? I gave him that gist. I was like, come on, like for 5 years, where were you? And he said, like, you know how long I've also been looking. But I mean, the point is, I now had that value that I placed on him. Like, it was just about, for God to have made me wait this long before bringing you into my life. I feel that it definitely has to be worth the wait. Like, that means you are good. That means like, and I'm not saying that because I'm married. I'm even saying that because even everybody I was going to marry, I was going to still feel that way about them. Just because I felt the process behind the waiting, everything God was doing in the back end made me feel like for this level of preparation, like it can't just be for just a random. So that part was also there for me. It made me really, really cherish the gifts. It made me really appreciate the person God finally brought, and made me also feel like, yeah, there's kingdom here. Because many times that's how God deals with his children. He doesn't just take delight in making us wait. Literally because he wants to form patience, maturity, all these things we talked about. If he was not working on him, we would have gotten married quite alright. But I'm telling you that it won't have been easy. Like, probably might not have divorced, but we would have been having fights back to back.
So it's better worked on before getting into
and God knows that part, that if I bring these two people at this stage, they're just probably going to destroy themselves or something. So he doesn't mind. Like, God is not in a hurry. We are the ones that always feel like time. No, God lives in a realm where there's no time. So I really feel like when it comes to waiting on that, I'm always just like, okay, God, let me just I just want to align so this thing can be fast. Because if I'm forming, I'm angry, I'm tired, I'm the one delaying me. God just looking at me like, okay, when you're ready, you come around. So God does all of that to get us to that point where when he's now presenting us, when he's giving us that thing, when he's giving us that, the end of that desire or that faith that we have, we are more prepared to handle it. When we say from God went to God, well, the point is we don't want you to be in that place where you're always looking at people and saying, God went with my own happiness. I think you should be more concerned about your own journey.
Yeah,
More concerned about what
I was
God
gonna
is
say
doing.
that. Yeah.
What God
So
is
there's
doing
gonna be a
with
custom-made food. You get into a restaurant again. We are going back to restaurant, guys. Keep salivating. Enter any restaurant of your choice in your mind.
Right? Us, right?
We got it. So what we are saying in essence is that if you are in a point where you're at a point where you are saying, God when, I don't know what that means. You know what that when with this. But you know what I want to say, or what we are trying to say to you guys is that, you know, when you are waiting, just know that it's a custom journey, right? And make sure that you're not affected by the journey of the next person, the neighbor next door, the person seated close to you in that restaurant. You know why? Yeah, don't get you know, overwhelmed by their own chicken and fight. Yeah, don't get pressured, right? Because your journey, right, it might be different. Sorry, that might be you have a different journey. So their own might be a university hall, their own might be a city hall, and your own might be a tower that is different, right? If you know what I'm saying.
When you were talking, there was just a line that dropped in my spirit, and it came to me like this: that when you wait on God, eventually God will get to serve you.
Yeah, so good.
I was waiting on God. I was
thinking you're the one who is going to serve God.
Eventually,
God is going to be the one to serve you.
You want to imagine the king
so good.
Yeah. What is your saying about God exceeding?
Yeah.
God is said when He give you what you wanted.
That's right.
Inside what He also there's a big picture, right?
Yeah.
But you still be getting that desire.
Yeah, that's right.
In line with
absolutely
God.
Correct.
So in my case, I thought I was waiting on God for 5 years, but in 6 months, God collapsed, and I now became like a global, you know. I became a poster child of what God can do.
Yep.
Like that part of quick work, like trust me, people are like, people that even didn't know when we were dating, we're just saying that we are getting married. They're like, when did this start? I mean, so that was just what it was. God saved me in that sense. Like, God gave me the marriage of my dreams. So good. I feel like if you can remember that,
guys,
you're made. You're made. So
wow,
it's gonna be good. Wow.
You'll
be like,
still saying wow. right. You know, just maybe some other time we'll come and share, you know, our pains, you know, while waiting. I cried. Forget about it. I cried too. Men don't cry. Me, I cry when I need to. I don't know who you are. I cry when I need to. So maybe some other time.
Yeah, we get to like talk about the emotions. But that was just more about telling you that
I messed up things, messed up plans here and there, and then, you know, but thank God, here we are. He served me later on. Yeah, I like that line, guys. That is just it. You might be thinking you're the one who is trying to wait on God to serve you. God is actually waiting on you to serve you. You're not just waiting on God to serve God. God is also waiting on you to serve you.
I mean, I want to be served by God. I don't
yeah. I want to be served by God. So
it was nice having you guys.
Yeah. Thank you for your time. Thank you for
subscribing and believing in us.
I'm subscribed. Yes. Subscribe now.
So we will have more videos like this. If you have suggestions, you can reach out to us or drop it in the comments. Like if you think there are things you want us to share, people that know our story want to like hear some other parts of our journey.
Yeah.
And it's not just marriage anyway. We can get to share about our faith. It could be anything, but
the process is to getting into them, you know, from when you start courting or dating, whatever it is.
Yes, like
the point of your
around.
There are things we learned along the way. People might have said, you had working up your dream. But for us, we still know, you know, we know that there are things that we actually want to do. Maybe we would have done better. So all those and then we shared in the days to come. Thank you for sticking around again. Thank you for subscribing. If you are not subscribed yet, please subscribe now and like this video. Share with a friend. I'm sure it will bless them because it has blessed you. If it has done that already. All right, see you in the next video. Bye.
Now, there's that part of almost cutting out process.